Hey, this ain't a drill. Only time I'm playing is on the field. And when I'm on the field, no, I got mad skills. And you know we about to eat this a fast meal. Y'all gotta pay for this heat like a gas bill. We keep on coming back, so yeah, they mad still. 716 make them pay me some bad bills. Red, white, and blue like Superman, so you know we eating at the Super Bowl. Kill the competition, set up the funeral. Josh Allen catching all the shots you go for. We callin' blitz. Ready to start, we ain't calling no quits. I'm the #1 draft pick. A lot of y'all talk, but I ain't hearing they only listen to Keyshawn and Nance. Talk about the Bills dominating on the field. All our players got them skills. Buffalo gon' make a kill when we talk about the Bills dominating on the field, and our players got them skills. Buffalo gon' make a kill.
What's going on? Welcome back to another live episode of the Post Podium Podcast, home of the all truth, no sodium takes. I am your co-host, Aramis.
Well, what's gonna happen today is it's gonna be some of this. It's gonna be some of this.
Really?
It's gonna be a lot of this.
A lot of that?
Lot of
you want the pepper too?
No, I don't need pepper. All sodium, all cholesterol. I need it all. Hypertension, because as you can see, I have my hat on again, and I have the do-rag on under it. I can't help it because
one of them days, huh?
Well, no, because my guard still ain't come. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling real unsettled right about now.
That's
my hat getting tight, and
what you need? A 1?
1.5.
1.5? I don't have a 1.5.
Yeah, that's the thing. I go to Sally's.
Nobody carries halves.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But I was comfortable. I was like, let me get that. What is this? What is this? They had a whole whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's my salt for this portion of the show. 40 keys if I ain't say it already.
Yeah.
I got salt later on too, so don't worry. I'm plenty salty.
Okay, fair enough. So here's what we're gonna do. Matt couldn't be with us tonight, and actually this was part of the plan. So this is bowling season we in now, right? So he's a avid bowler. The dude is nice with that ball, man. Like he got the spin on it and everything. He got the form. Like he need to be like doing it professionally. He's that good. So we gonna carry the show as best we can until he's able to come back. I guess after the season or
you know.
How long is a bowling season, by the way?
No, I'm not good enough to even know. I don't know.
That probably covers most things for both of us, right? Like I'm not good enough to know that information.
I ain't know what it was. I guess it's every season there's a season. I don't know.
Yeah. So it works out.
Mm-hmm.
Sweat says, "Can we please get a truckload of sodium tonight?"
Oh, you got some sweat? Oh,
yeah.
Sweat. My guy. Yes,
we got probably
go around.
Yep, probably gonna be a lot of that. Where do you want to start today, bro? Like, any specific place that you're like burning on specifically?
You know what? I watched the Super Bowl just for you today.
Oh, okay.
I did. Now, did I have fun with it? Absolutely not. But
I loved it so much.
See, I forced myself because yesterday, let's see what I do for the first half. First half, I played Madden with Ken. He was in his room, I was in the living room. We had our headsets on, and he was like just getting worked over. But it's okay. It's all right. He was doing it himself. He kept rolling to the right with Josh Allen because he said Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
I said, it's not them. But after that, halftime came. T went to see Kendrick Lamar. And
how'd you enjoy that show?
I'm not really a Kendrick Lamar fan.
You not?
Not fan. I don't not like him.
Oh, okay.
But you never know when one song starts and one song ends because he just switches it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm not a fan, but I mean he's gifted. Like he's a gifted lyricist.
Talented. He's really talented.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to be in a certain mode to understand.
Yeah. A whole lot of it too.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on? There's a lot. I mean, I saw the breakdown of what the imagery was and all the subtleties and the underlying meanings everything was, and I'm like. Right on. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Sunny Sun Brian says, "Love that pic." Did you see the thumbnail? Sweet chin music with Mahomes getting hit in the face mask. It's beautiful, ain't it? Isn't it pretty?
Yep.
Yeah, I vibe with that. Billy D liked it too. But
Billy D, how do you like it? Do you like it like Coke 45? Or do you like it like Chewbacca?
Yo, Billy D, he ain't gonna let you lay that one down, bro. You might as well just send us a video of you with the deep voice,
right,
and let us post it. What's going on, Rich? He said McDermott for president.
We know.
Yep.
Today,
of course.
Today I can't do it.
Yeah, you know what? I left this Super Bowl thinking if McDermott is watching this game, he's probably thinking we're one pass rusher away.
You know what I left the part of the game I focused on thinking? I'm glad the Chiefs went, not us.
I think we would have put up a better fight.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the defensive secondary. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, we can't stop the run. Saquon Barkley was held to 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, I mean, that Chiefs offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
So so that explains some of the success they had on the defensive line. But at the same time, back five that I always talk about was interestingly enough, everybody that wants to come at me about how you have to do your window's closing fast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny enough that they had Zach Bond, who they just brought on, who was kind of a nobody in New Orleans. But then you got the two rookies, one of which I really wanted. Remember Cooper DeJean I talked about?
Yeah.
Wow, that'd have been nice. That'd been real nice.
Yeah. I think you wanted the other guy too, but you knew we weren't.
I knew we weren't going to be high enough for him.
Right.
But yeah, Cooper DeJean was definitely on my radar. And DeJean, Bishop. I mean, Bishop might be the better player in the long run, but sure as hell could have used him now.
Right. So let's park on this for a second, because I think for Bills fans, this was not only therapeutic, but it was kind of a window into something that I had talked about a while back, which was, if you're going to beat the Chiefs, and this was almost the same thing with the Patriots for a while. Mm-hmm. If you're going to beat those caliber teams, you have to blow them out. There is no play a close game with them and win. There's either the 13 seconds game or there's the
in 2000 Ravens game where it had the defense that just asserts their will on everybody all times.
I was going to say the 2018 Eagles, where they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and it took some trickery. It became a shootout. You know what I mean? Like, I think you either have those situations where you win the shootout, or you're gonna end up on the wrong side of a bad call.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw what DeAndre Hopkins said, he said there was a lot of touchy calls. Y'all gonna report that? Why? I'm like, what about that wide open draft you had with 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter?
Right.
What about there was nobody around you at all? You probably would have had a nice little, gain after that on fourth down. It would have helped. Probably wouldn't win the game, but it would have helped. But yeah, I mean, I think in those instances, even the Chiefs defense, they said we're going to set out and stop Saquon Barkley, and they held him to 50, 60 yards.
Yeah,
that's no small feat. That's no small feat at all. I mean, he was frustrated at times, and while they couldn't stop the air raid of the Eagles, I think they did their job as they thought they were going to do by stopping Saquon Barkley, getting off all the heads of the offense, to the Eagles' offense. Could we have done that? I don't know that I feel good about the fact that the Eagles didn't blitz one time and got the Mahomes 6 sacks, no blitzes. I mean, it's just the little things that I look at and I'm like, okay, our offense, yes. If you give me one wide receiver, I'll shut my mouth about it. Offensive line is spectacular. The defense has all the questions in the world.
Yeah.
And this is where I say that one pass rusher thing, that Myles Garrett thing, like you said, whoever it is, it just can't be.
Right.
Because you're looking at their linebackers versus our linebackers. You're looking at their defensive four versus our defensive front four. You look at their back five versus our back five. Who wins? I can't think of one spot where I say, yep, the Bills are better there. I really can't. Christian Benford is not any of those guys they had. And then Russell Douglas, forget about it. DeMar Hamlin, we put him out there. We felt good about him. I thought he was a decent player, but he's a backup. Cole Bishop, Taylor Rapp, whatever.
Right.
There's nobody there. There's no names that says he's going to take this game over.
Well, I get what you're saying. I think my thought initially was, we have a lot more weapons, and we have an offense that employs a lot more viable weapons in a sense than the Chiefs do. Like their niche is speed. What made that offense really work and the defense this season was team speed, right? But when you look at what needed to happen against a team like the Eagles is you needed to be able to put more guys out there than they can cover. And that was part of what Andy Reid was trying to do. However, he was wrong in thinking that his offensive line would stand up long enough or hold up long enough for that to happen, because he was sending 5 almost every play. You know what I'm saying? So I do think the Bills' 5 and some of the formations that they do would have caused some problems defensively, more specifically because of the Bills' ability to force the Eagles to have to guard the seam. You know what I'm saying? It was almost as if the Chiefs were kind of forced to either go underneath the linebackers or outside deep. And they didn't have enough time to go outside deep, so they had to keep everything underneath the linebackers. And I don't know why they didn't just switch to that and, keep doing that consistently, because they're more than capable of doing it. But looking at what the Bills do with the bubble screens and our run game, I think would have been better than theirs in that game. Our offensive line is better than their offensive line right now in terms of all 5 guys. You know what I'm saying? So those were some of the things that I looked at and said, okay, I don't think we would have gotten blown out, especially when we had a less talented team last year when we played them in Philly and we barely lost that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just think defensively is what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
our defense to me was better last year than it is this year. To everybody that watched them, it should have been obvious that their defense was better last year, and I think that's what the capitalization piece would be for the Eagles. Offensively, like I said, I think we've been fine.
Yeah.
It's just that defense.
You're right.
Defense that just
absolutely.
It drives me nuts, because Rousseau was horrible against the Chiefs, and people want to get rid of Von Miller. People want to put Epinesa as a starter. I'm like, we got to start this over again. We got to start this defense all over again. Start the scheme, start the players. It's got to be brand new next year, because if you come back what you did last year.
Doyle says, welcome to the show first and foremost. Because you're in the chat, you're now part of the family. There is no getting out. You're stuck now. So welcome. He says, Bills are wait. Too many comments. Okay, so he says Bills are better built to beat the Chiefs. The better team wasn't representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. So that was one of the other thoughts I had too, was this was one of those games where the Chiefs didn't get all the calls. They got like one early on that kind of made you think like, uh-oh. But after that, it was all Eagles for a while. You know what I mean? And I think, and this is really where we hit the meat, the root of the issue here. Part of the reason that the Chiefs weren't getting the calls is because on the field, it looked like the Eagles were the more dominant team. Right? And I think that's where the sway from the referees comes. It's, if you're getting beat, stop it. Don't depend on us to bail you out, right? And I think what the Bills have come across several times is we're just about even in terms of weaknesses and strengths with the Chiefs, right? From top to bottom, right? And when you have that kind of a margin and you're in KC for what is the biggest game of the year for us, we're hoping that there's a even perspective from the referees. And no, it should be clear now based on what we saw in the Super Bowl. The refs are leaning towards whoever the more dominant team is. Like, prove you can beat that guy.
That's a problem too.
Right. So what does that mean? Well, that means that if you want to get to that level of being able to consistently beat the Chiefs and beat teams like the Eagles, you've got to stack your team like they did. You have to.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? And so now, when we look at where the Eagles are, they're in a position long-term to sustain this. About 80%, if not 90% of the guys that we saw play in that game Sunday are going to be there next year. right? The only guy that I don't think they'll bring back is the guard, Mekhi Becton. But they could if they wanted to with that one. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else that's on that team, young dudes. Yeah. Young dudes. Brandon Graham can retire.
Sweat,
Josh Sweat is going to be a free agent. What is it? Milton, the defensive tackle, he's going to be a free agent. So even with that, though, you still got Jalen. Excuse me, Jalen. You still got who's the other big boy they got?
Carter. You got
Jordan Davis.
No, see, this is the thing about that. There's something in April called the draft.
Yeah,
you can fix that Sweat deficiency. You can fix that Becton deficiency. Yeah. So once you get that pipeline, like you said, it's what do you? It's ice cream. It's ice cream. It really
is. Exactly. Kev says fact is Howie Rosen knows how to select players. That's the bottom line, bro. That's the bottom line. Sweat says, I think we would have lost it, but it was going to be a replay of the Eagles and Bills game from 2023. I could have accepted that. I could have wholeheartedly and gratefully accepted that loss because that team is just stacked to the T. What I can't accept is the loss to the Chiefs because we had a team that was supposed to be able to beat them, right? And as Doyle said, we're built to beat that team. And that's the one team in the playoffs you just can't beat, right? We haven't seen the Bengals, a second time to be able to, prove or disprove that notion. But the idea that we take a loss like we did in 2023, the Bills look very respectable at that point because not only were we not supposed to be in the AFC Championship game, but now we get to a Super Bowl. I'm not feeling terrible about the loss at all. I'm not feeling great about losing, but I'm not feeling terrible at all because not only did you get to a Super Bowl, but you beat the Chiefs to do it. You know what I mean? That's a totally different monster from where we're sitting now, which is we couldn't even get past the Chiefs. That's the frustration.
That's the albatross. You're talking about Doyle who said Groot have to defend because when you go back and watch, he got hit in the back by one guy and his helmet pulled off. And by another, same play, he was getting abused, and I counted him being held about 5 times. I mean, that's very well true, but, I mean, guys get held all the time. It's dirty down there.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, Groot did no favors by falling over himself and just being slow to the point of attack. I mean, it is what it was. It was a bad game for him. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's not a $25 million player in our realm.
Agreed.
We don't have that money, and we're not going to spend it there. So if he wants something, in that echelon in that area, hey man, be blessed. Thanks for everything you did. I can tell you, if you're looking at replacing Groot, this is probably the draft definitely to do that. There's a bunch of power rush guys, a bunch of guys on the edge that can set an edge and are mean and nasty. So if you need to have foresight. And what's the name? Howie Rosen? Yeah. When you listen to people talk about why they want Myles Garrett, it's not just because Myles Garrett's because they don't have any faith in the Bills being able to draft. They it's not just us. It's people on the radio. It's people, even people in Sal Capaccio on their shows and stuff like that. They say, why would I not give up 2 firsts and a second? They don't hit on those picks anyway.
Right.
Well, something's wrong with that. Something's really – because I don't want to keep hemorrhaging my picks to get these overpriced players, overaged, overpriced players.
Right.
Go get yourself what we saw last night. And that was the most discouraging part about it. That's why I have this. Because I know what they have we can't do. Xavier Worthy, we could have had. He had, 8 catches for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was garbage time, one of them, but so what? The point is, when you called him, he was there. Mm-hmm. We have a guy that's in developmental phase, and this guy's getting ready to hit the next echelon. Cooper DeJean, when they put him in the game, look what happened.
Right.
I think one of the other podcasters said he told his brother to bet $100 on DeJean getting a pick 6.
Wow.
Guy won like $900 off of that.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you listen to the radio or not radio, the TV people describe people in such adjectives as Cooper DeJean is another stud on this young defense. A stud on this young defense.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have our team is getting old. At one point in time, we got Josh. We were one of the younger teams in the league. It was justifiable to not be good. But now we're getting old. Deion Dawkins, 30. Josh Allen's 28. You're talking about Rasul Douglas right now. Yeah. Ed Oliver. They're all getting a year older. But these guys are young, and they went from 30 to second in the course of a year. How? So when people tell me, You gotta. What is the process? I'm watching other people's process work quickly. And they're telling me we gotta wonder. We can't mess this up. We'll sit on your hands then.
Right. D says, looks like he's a Giants fan too. Welcome to the show, my man. He says, this was best for the Bills. You don't want to be 0-5 in Super Bowls. That's not good on the resume. Honestly, yes, and I understand that, but Josh needed the experience.
I don't even care. I
just want to get to one, man. Huh?
I've been good going on 5. I don't want to go there.
Right. Listen, I wasn't even paying attention to football back then when we were going to 4 in a row. And to be perfectly honest, to me, that's a completely different era of football. Yeah. I think for and hopefully we don't get canceled because of this, but I think it's actually more indefensible for that team to have gone 4 times and to not have won one. Because there was no salary cap back then, because there was no –
it was the same team over and over again.
Right. Everybody you had, you could just keep all your people and just come back every year and do it all over again. You can't do that now. It's almost impossible to keep teams together longer than 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, we're proof of that. We tried to run it back 3 years in a row, and it didn't work out. So I think to kind of separate the two, and I think you kind of have to in terms of how we're processing the team's ability to win a Super Bowl. It's 2 different eras. You know what I'm saying? And for this team with this quarterback and this coach to have made a Super Bowl in a year where they weren't even supposed to win their division, I think would have been a huge step in the right direction. But instead, we find ourselves back in 2020. We find ourselves in a position where we need some pieces. We're depending on the draft for these pieces. And we go to draft some players, and they don't work out. And here we are. We've been talking about this now. We've been talking about the right way to do this is to just follow the plan. You know what I mean? Like stick with what is it? Trust the process. Mm-hmm. Stick with the process. Build through the draft. Build your team the right way so that you have better sustainability. You have a farm system of young guys coming in. Those guys blossom. Those guys teach the next generation coming in, and you just keep it flowing like that. But we've been at such a deficit in terms of being able to find talent. Think about what the Giants have done in the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. They drafted a great left tackle. They drafted one of the best receivers in the league right now. Right? They got a couple of guys on defense that look pretty good too. So we're watching other teams, and the reason I mention the Giants in particular is because 2 of the guys who used to work for us went there, and now they're doing better than us in the draft.
Yeah, they're doing it there.
You know what I'm saying? So really just process that for a minute. So Joe Shane is making these great picks over there, mm-hmm. right? And to be clear, we're not even going to talk about Daniel Jones because that was an owner pick. Mm-hmm. That's who the owner wanted. So we're not going to put that on Joe Shane.
Yeah, he was there before him anyway. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So Joe Shane was here. We still couldn't draft. Joe Shane leaves and goes to the Giants. They start getting good players early. Mm-hmm. What's the trend? What are we left with if we eliminate all the variables? If we get rid of all the stuff that we know is not fact, and all we're left with has to be the truth, right? That's the scientific method. Yep. So what does that boil down to? It boils down to your coach and your GM. That combination of decision makers on these players isn't working.
Yep. And that's the thing. That's why I asked the question on Friday. I said, if you had Bean, no McDermott, or McDermott, no Bean, I'm sure we see a difference. You know, they're just too comfortable together. It's like I said, when you put 2 of your best friends in the classroom and sit them next to each other, what are they going to do? They're going to talk the whole time. But when you separate them, guess what? Their grades go up. Their behavior goes up. Everything is advantageous. Now, My thing about Joe Shane and Brian Dable, I'm curious about is if the first thing they did when they got to New York was build an identity, mm-hmm. because that's got to be that's the root cause. We don't have one. You know, now they're talking about with this new guy, expect a lot more man. He's a defensive assistant. We had Leslie Frazier, we had Bobby Babbitt, we had some. The defense has always been the same. It's always been the same. I mean, you take a play here, throw a play out there, but it's always been innately the same. It's the same construct, the same winning pedigree. So the only difference between what we had before and now is Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer.
Yep.
So what is our identity? What are we going to do? Are we going to run man? Are we going to break this whole thing down and do man because you see zone isn't working? Are you going to get better athletes? Because the only culture I want is a winning culture. Because guess what? You saw last night before A.J. Brown's catch, what happened? He went off on Sirianni.
Exactly.
And then 30 seconds later, they over there laughing. He reading his book, having a good time.
But if that was Buffalo, you got to get that guy off the team. He's a diva. We don't tolerate that. Like
books, we don't read books.
Right.
Yeah.
You try to better yourself on the sideline. You need to do that in the locker room. You need to do that on the practice field.
Look at this guy trying to edify himself.
Right. Like it's nonsense. Like there's so many of these mantras running around in people's minds that have us brainwashed and pigeonholed into this thought process that's the only way that teams can have success. No, there's multiple different ways. And if you're not trying every last one of them, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the issue here is that we've seen now a head coach go through 8 years of our stud quarterback and really only try 2 ways. Mm-hmm. He's tried the air raid way, and now he's tried the efficient offense way. And you know what? Neither one of those were the issue to begin with. The interceptions weren't a problem. You made the AFC Championship with him throwing interceptions. So that was never the problem. The issue was you suck on defense. Mm-hmm. You suck on defense. Yep. That's the bottom line. Listen, I was talking to my pop. I was talking to Damaris, and this is an NFL player saying that our defense is a college defense. The 4-2-5 is a college defense. It's not designed to work with any kind of sustainability in the NFL. That's why most teams only run it on certain passing downs.
There are some teams you can run it against almost exclusively, but for the most part, that shouldn't be your base.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you have to have accidentally fumbled into having 6 great DBs for something like that to be what you do. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that. When did we ever have 6 great DBs?
We have 2.
Right.
No,
right.
3 because we had Poyer and Hyde.
That's what I'm saying. I counted them and then who? Trey White. You know what I'm saying?
Johnson. That's probably the third.
Okay. Yes, I agree.
Probably the 3rd.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's the fact that it's just your slot. Just like on offense, Khalil Shakir is your best wide receiver. He's a slot. Everybody they egg on him because he's a slot. You know, but he's your best receiver. So if you don't want to be the case, do better. You got to get somebody else, you know, and not get rid of Khalil because he's an asset, but you got to get somebody to go with him, you know. And right. I think that's the thing that the Bills brass and Bills fans fall by the wayside when it comes to how do I build my team. I have one great player. I don't ride him till the wheels fall off. I want him to be an option, like you said. Everybody eats. We don't want him to know who to guard. But we want them to try to figure out who they're guarding based on all the stars, all the good players. It's not because they're all average, and we don't need to worry about one player. They might use him. We want them to be better than average. We want them to be threats anytime you step on the field.
Right.
And I just have not seen it. And then when you watch the game yesterday, you're watching the speed of the Eagles' defense. You're watching them flying all over the place. You're watching them manhandle. You're watching the defensive backs take control of the game by themselves. That's what I'm like. Offense, yeah, we might have it, but our defense is not that.
That 4th down play by Avonte Maddox. What Buffalo Bill do you see making that? What Buffalo Bill defensive back do you see making that play? I mean, that's a play that I've seen the Bills get killed with multiple times on key downs. Mm-hmm. And here they go, first time out facing that. They got a DB that's right in the throwing path of that. Yeah. Get a handout, swat it down, over with.
I mean, I don't know if you caught it, but on the broadcast, I think Brady said, I don't know if it was that play, but he said, "Now this is a play that they used against the Bills and worked last week. Yeah, it ain't working this week."
Makes you wonder. Couple of comments here I want to get to. Doyle says Groot is the perfect left end if you get a Myles Garrett type talent. He can set an edge, and he would be more efficient if he can get one-on-ones, and that would happen with a great defensive end. So one of the things we talked about in the last episode, Doyle, I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if this is your first time watching us or not, but one of the things we talked about with Myles Garrett is the restrictions of the contract, right? If you get a guy like Myles Garrett, first and foremost, he's going to want a revamp deal. Secondly, the restrictions that puts on the Buffalo Bills would preclude them from being able to give Rousseau a new deal, right? You're just Ed Oliver's already got an $80 million contract. You're not gonna give Rousseau another 80, and then on top of that give Myles Garrett another 90, 120.
140, yeah, because
right.
They're talking about upwards of $35 million a year. So
right,
yeah.
so you're kind of you're handcuffing yourself if you do something like that. So as much as we like Groot, I think we need to accept the reality that is, if we get Myles Garrett, it's going to be very difficult to keep Rousseau.
You said the expensive Rousseau.
Yeah. Spence says they got Neighbors. He was a top 7 pick, I think, last year. We picked, 26th? If you're saying what I think you're saying, then I'll offer this other example. Then, there's several players that we talked about before that were drafted in later positions. I mean, Justin Jefferson was 21st overall, 22nd overall, and that's the pick that we gave up to get Stefon Diggs here. Had we kept that and just knew what we were doing in the draft, we could have had him. Yeah, and
even easier is the widespread national clamor that Brian Thomas Jr. was a move for the Bills. Trade up. We had
everybody was
the
saying
capital.
That.
If you tell me we didn't have capital to get Brian Thomas Jr., I don't know what to tell you, because we had draft picks out the wazoo. I'm sure there's a player so we could offer to who's that? Carolina? No, Jacksonville. They need pieces as well. We needed that wide receiver.
Right.
Keon Coleman might be nice, but BTJ is the number one. Keon Coleman is not the number one.
Exactly.
And I'm not poo-pooing him, because you don't have to be. You can be a better Gabe Davis and have longevity. He's gonna have longevity in his league. Is it as a Bills a wide receiver? Because who knows how they're gonna use him? Are they gonna figure it out? Did we waste that pick? Are we gonna be talking about him next year with Kincaid and Elam?
Yep.
Is he the next one to fall? This is ridiculous now.
Here's one of the only things that I think would work out for the Bills in terms of a trade for Myles Garrett. If we say to the Browns, we'll take his salary, right? I think that's about the only way that would work, is if we take on that salary and we say to them, we'll give you one of our seconds, we'll take the salary, and we'll give you a second next year as well. As good as he is 29, and we are about to give him a new deal. And we're taking the contract off your books. I think if the Buffalo Bills were able to work something like that out, that leaves us with our first-round pick. And I think, like Billy D said, trade Groot. I do think that's what you do then at that point. You get Myles Garrett in the door. Now that's your stud. Now that's your cornerstone that you can build around. I would take that deal and try and work with that, as opposed to giving up a first-round pick or 2 firsts or whatever people are saying we should give up for Myles Garrett. Yeah. I think that consideration allows us to now draft a defensive end in the first round at 30 and then put him opposite side Myles Garrett. I would like that a whole lot better. I think with that, you can still maintain you can probably translate 2 of your fourths into a third-round pick, keep your fourth. Now you're able to get you get your defensive end in the first round, your third round pick. You got to go defensive tackle at that point, right? And then your fourth, you get a corner, right? To me, that's still that gives you a little bit more flexibility to still draft the pieces that you need in decent positions for them to come in and make an impact in year one. And you still get Myles Garrett.
I would go corner. Yeah, I would go corner in the first round.
You go okay. Yeah. However we want to do it. I mean, you know better than I do. You're the draft.
No. I was gonna say, to double down on the point of nobody knew that Justin Jefferson was gonna go to 21st.
Yeah.
Okay. Say nobody knew.
Okay.
Let's do this. Justin Jefferson, 22nd pick. You know who went 25th?
Who?
Brandon Ayuk.
Wow.
You know who went after that? T. Higgins. You know who went after that? Michael Pittman. You know who went even later? Chase Claypool. I mean, this is what we're talking about.
There were guys there.
This is what. So you're telling me the scouting department didn't identify? Let's try that as opposed to going to get. I mean, you know how I am about 14, X14, whatever. But Brandon Ayuk, who the Bills wanted to trade for.
Yep.
T. Higgins, who the fans want now.
Yep. Yep.
You didn't know T. Higgins that was in the playoffs was going to be good. You didn't know that Ayuk was going to be good. You didn't know Michael Pittman, who was the son of another NFL player, the bloodline, was going to be.
Yeah, man.
And the thing is, this is the thing. If it's not if it's not Myles Garrett, can you find somebody that can do some of the things that he does? Not everything, but at the same time, you got to think about what does it cost? What is the fallout? Are you losing? Are you missing out on that stud cornerback? Are you missing out on that linebacker? Are you missing out on that D tackle? Because you went and got Myles Garrett. Now he's in Buffalo playing amongst what we were just talking about. Who's there? Rasul Douglas isn't even there. So who is it? Kyer Elam, or is it going to be Jamarcus Ingram? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be another Mike Edwards light at cornerback? Why do we keep doing this?
Right.
Why? I mean, the same way people say fire McDermott, the same way people say, trust the process or whatever extreme you go to, you have to step on faith at some point because some other team's going to get your gold. Yeah. And then all you're going to be left with is saying, well, they wouldn't have did that here. You don't know. You don't know if any of the guys that are striking out. Remember Jerry Hughes? Almost out of the league. Got traded for Kelvin Shepard. What is Jerry Hughes? One of the most renowned pass rushers we had in Buffalo the last 20 years.
Yep.
Got to step out sometime.
Yeah.
Got to try to get the diamond in the rough. It's not always going to smack you in the face. Sometimes you got to take a chance.
Exactly.
You got to trust your scouting department. You got to trust your developmental team.
the what?
Yeah. That's the thing. They come here and they just do this. You
Yep.
You don't really see anybody just do this.
Yep. Spin says, yes, but Diggs was a guaranteed talent, and the draft can always be a crapshoot.
You're right. That's why it makes it fun.
What? No. Because even you can't have it both ways. You can't say the Diggs trade was good, but the Bills need to. I just don't understand that. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna get on, okay. This is why I say this. How did the Diggs situation work out? How would you say it worked out, bro?
This Diggs situation?
Yeah,
worked out great in that instance.
I mean, like now, like how does it look now? It looks pretty crappy now, right?
I'm empty inside. But to double down, to your point, to double down, what I like to go to is Von Miller. How does that look?
Right, because that's another one of those.
You could have went. I mean, I'm not saying there's somebody in the draft that would have did what he does, but the thing is, you go ahead and give the known commodity, the talent, all the money. He gets hurt. What happens? Now you're paying for him, and you don't even want him anymore. You're paying for him 2 more years regardless.
Yep. All of our best success, and I guess this is the point that I'm really trying to get to, all of our best success has come from the guys that weren't a known commodity. Micah Hyde, not a known commodity. Jordan Poyer, not a known commodity. Terrell Bernard, not a known commodity. Matt Milano, not a known commodity. I mean, these are guys that were later round picks and free agents that the team they were on just let them go for free. They didn't try to trade these guys or anything like that. So I don't want to get so caught up in this guy is guaranteed. We've already seen nobody that comes to Buffalo is guaranteed. I was talking to somebody earlier today. I forgot where they were from. Might have been Texas. I was driving Uber. And they were saying Mario Williams wasn't that great when he came here. Like, did he get 10 sacks this season? Yeah, but this is a guy that's known to get 16, 17, 18. You know what I'm saying? Did Terrell Owens work when he came here? Not so much. It was entertaining, but nah, where did we go? Right. That was fun, but where did we really go? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there, very few of the free agent guys that we go out and get actually work out like that. I mean, realistically, who knew who Jerry Hughes was before we traded for him? You did.
I really wanted him.
It's okay for you to say that because you the dude when it comes to the,
I was happy about that.
Wait,
we got who? For who? Bye.
Right. But
yeah.
That's the point. That's where I'm trying to get people to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit and take a clearer look. Put your glasses on, take a clearer look. We have to get out of the mindset of the quick Band-Aid fixes in order to get us where we're trying to get faster. I've heard people talk about all day long today and all week long last week about how We're so close now. Just go all in. Why? Why? If you weren't worried about how long it's going to take us to win a Super Bowl, then why go in all in right now? If you are fine with just coming back to it next season, if you're fine with we always get to the playoffs, so we're always going to have a chance. If you're fine with that mindset, then why does it matter to go all in now? Because what you're really saying by saying go all in now is we got to strike while the iron's hot, right? We may not have this chance. We may not have this team for long. We may not have this opportunity for long. That's why you say things like, well, let's go all in. Let's go get Myles Garrett. Let's just go for it. That's why you say that. But everybody and their mama has been telling me for pretty much all season long, since the offseason, it's fine if we make the playoffs every season and don't win a Super Bowl because we're making the playoffs and not every team makes the playoffs. Or, at least we're winning 10 games a season. Okay, you can't have both.
Yeah, it hurts. I mean, I get it. But like I said, being a UB fan, I get when you say, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Because your team sucks. But when your team doesn't suck, it's hard to be like sit on your hands like, you know what, this is fun. This is nice. Right. I wanted to address some of the things Spence said because I did like him. He said, first he said, Diggs was a top 5 wide receiver when he was here with us outside of his last year. Now the extension was bad, but the extension wasn't even bad. I don't think it was bad. I think what you need to do is understand that Diggs is not going to be your 1A forever. Mm-hmm. Diggs going to Houston around Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Who am I missing? There's another guy. But around those guys and saying I'm going to take a back seat and still go for 80 catches before getting hurt, him being number 1 wasn't a problem. Don't let the Bills tell you that.
Right.
Him sitting in a stagnant situation was the issue. Also, let's see. I think that if you extended him, like I said, if he's taking a back seat and you still get talent around him, he would have shut up. Let Khalil Shakir emerge. But he's the kind of guy like me. I can't take my hands off the reins, so you show me you got it. When I see you got it, be blessed. What do you need me to do? I hope you get better. He also said, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a he or she, but we need more man corners and a fix on the D-line. Yes. And see, that right there is why I say no to Myles Garrett. That right there is why, because the draft picks that we need to get Myles Garrett, the money we need to get Myles Garrett, is the money and draft picks that our scouting department is supposed to be identifying who should be paying to. Right. Who should be selected on April 27th through the 29th. Yep. That's what their job is for. If they're not doing the hell they sitting here for, and I'm sitting here.
Spin says, yes, but Diggs wanted out because he wasn't being prioritized with Brady. He wasn't being prioritized long before that. Right. It just became more obvious with Brady. But so to be clear, it wasn't because he wasn't being prioritized. We gotta stop with that specific narrative. And I'm not even sure if you really thought about how that translates or what could be taken from saying it that specific way. So I don't want this to come off as me accusing you of purposely saying it that way. But I think we need to be clear about exactly what happened. Okay. And again, I'll say this for the record. I am connected to somebody who's connected to Diggs, and I've reported this several times. The issue was not his usage in the offense. The issue was the offensive philosophy. Mm-hmm. Okay. The team went from an air raid system, which accentuated and elevated Diggs's effect or his ability to affect the game in a positive way. And the new philosophy became more efficient football, shorter passes, more geared towards a run game, all things that did not immediately translate to points in Stefon Diggs' mind. Now, when you look at the way that the Buffalo Bills scored 30 this season, almost every game, a lot of it came with the passing game. And it wasn't a bunch of bubble screens going for 40 or 50 yards. It was passes down the field. It was big plays that got us down inside the red zone, and then we ran a bunch of smaller plays from there. So realistically, the passing game has always been the thing that gets this offense moving and gets points on the board. But when you listen to the narratives of the Bills marketing team, when you listen to the narrative of the GM and the coach, they'll tell you the change in philosophy was designed to mitigate interceptions. Well, we've already proven now several times on this show that interceptions aren't the culprit to why this team hasn't seen the success that it wants to see. It's been defense. So all of that really needs to go up in flames when it comes to our perception of Diggs having an issue with the offensive philosophy. The offense was one of the reasons, if not the reason, that we were winning games. And then you want to tell perhaps our second best player on the team that we're not going to go in the same route that we've seen now is the reason why this team is winning games. We want to go in a different route because we feel diversity is more efficient, and we want to limit turnovers because we feel like turnovers aren't beneficial to a defense and puts the defense in a bad spot, even though we've seen now the defense is trash regardless of where you put them. So I think all of this kind of culminates to a pimple head of we got to leave Diggs alone now. Yeah. Everything that we've seen evidence-wise that's happened after he's gone from here has now really put a spotlight on the real issue, which is the defense, not Diggs. It's not his fault. Where did we get to German chocolate, Roy?
Because he said he wants his cake and eat it. And I said, you like cake?
Oh, no, German chocolate. Yeah, German chocolate is the truth.
I'm not really a fan of cake, so.
Oh man.
If it ain't
okay.
cheesecake, I'm probably not going to.
I'm gonna make a German chocolate cake one of these days.
You bake?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've never.
I just don't do it often. Okay, let me ask you this. I made ribs yesterday. Were they good?
That's beside the point.
No, that's not beside his point.
I know you cook, but I didn't know you baked.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I just don't do it often because to me it's too time consuming. That's why I don't do it like that.
I don't bake at all.
Yo, for my birthday,
She does.
cake, yo.
She made her own cake on her birthday one year. I think it was COVID year. She made her own cake. She's, I'm going to make a cake. I said, what?
You hear that? He can make cakes.
She can make cakes.
I mean, so can Caitlin. Caitlin,
now, you must not have no. They only do it when you're not home.
Fam.
For clarity, you know why this is funny? Chat, you know why this is funny? Because Junie's 21 years old, and he has no idea. He just found out today that
he was today years old when he found out.
Only on the Post Podium podcast.
Oh, No Bone said he baked. All right, look, we got to do something. I need to place an order, man.
Wait a minute. Oh, snap, violation. Yayla said cheesecake is not a cake. Well, I guess I don't like cake.
Back up.
I guess I don't like cake then.
Right. No, it's cake.
What is
cake.
she in the shirt say? Oh boy, yeah. Whatever it is, I'm eating that. But not
that and all those other noises he be making.
Oh, man, but to the point. I mean, I like a lot of what people are saying in the chat, even though they don't agree about Diggs. It's you gotta put it in perspective though. Like you said, is it Diggs? Or is it what happened around Diggs? Meaning front office, PR, media. I mean, it was to the point where Diggs don't say nothing in IG or in Twitter. People are, oh snap, that no.
Oh, his silence means something.
And he knows. See, Diggs is the kind of guy that knows that. So he plays with people. He does it to this day.
Yeah.
He's always been that way. So I mean, it's like, okay, you got to know what you're signing up for. And like I said, when you see AJ Brown, who is public enemy number one in most people's archives, reading the book. Then when he scored a touchdown, he's happy. Winning cures all.
No doubt. No doubt.
And when are we going to realize? Let's turn up the heat a little bit. Maybe we don't have to worry about the feelings. Maybe let's worry about a little pressure. Iron sharpens iron. All the stuff they say lends to you thinking they think like this when they really think like this. Just tell me what you are. I'll learn to love you whatever you are. Just tell me what it is.
Right.
If you want to be a soft defense, fine. You want Josh James Cook to do everything. Speaking of James Cook, I just heard on Locked In. Did you know he got, what was it called? You might have heard it. A professional performance accelerator.
What?
Okay. So what I gathered from this is James Cook is in for a lot of money now this year because of what he did last year. Basically, if you hit certain milestones, certain amount of snaps, certain amount of accolades, you get whatever it is. He went from a base salary of $1 million to like $5 million.
Woo!
Against the cap. Yeah. So this is the stuff why we're saying Myles Garrett.
Yikes.
And
he's in, this is what, year 3 for him?
this is 4th year coming up.
Fourth
This is
year
his last year. And that's why that's what it is. It's only eligible for players who are not first round, 5th year eligible players. So second round back. In their 4th year, they're eligible for this accelerator if they hit whatever milestones are.
Wow.
And there are different tiers to it. I guess they say your pay is equal out to the second round, whatever round you were drafted in, restricted free agency. So whatever you're worth on that market is what your contract is going to be for that 4th year.
Long as the man get paid. I never thought I'd be sitting here saying that, but he won me over. He won me over. Pay the man. I listen. If we got to give him $8 million just to keep him here, the next 4 or 5 seasons, do it.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it amounts to. It's not far fetched.
No,
you see what he does it off. You see when Josh Allen is not at his A game, James Cook can do his thing too, and that's what you want. Now what you need is when James Cook and Josh Allen are stymied, what does the defense got to offer?
Right.
That's what we need to know. What do they have to offer? Can I get a 10-sack guy? Can I get somebody that's not tied with DeMar Hamlin for the team lead in interceptions? Yeah. I mean, 2 interceptions, that's everybody eats. I don't want it on defense.
So let me ask. Well, okay. Yeah. Let me ask you this, and we'll get. I want to get to this comment from D after that. So just so that we have, because I like to give people both perspectives, so that they can, decide which one appeals more to them, right? Because right now we've only been hearing about, I want Myles Garrett, I don't want Myles Garrett. I want Myles Garrett, I don't want Myles Garrett, right? And I don't want it to I don't want the conversation to be stuck there. I would like to offer people a different option just to show them what the other side of the fence looks like, and then let them determine which fence they want to look at and which, greener pasture they think is better for them, right? So Give us 3 pass rushers that you think would be available and where you think we should take them. Because I know you said we should take corner in the first round, right? So let's assume
drafter. You talking about drafting?
Draft.
Okay, yeah.
So let's assume on an even playing field, right, with no prior decisions made, no Myles Garrett, no nothing, right? Are you still taking a corner first? Okay, so let's say we take a corner in the first round. From there, who do you think is out there that gives us, the best option as a pass rusher, and what round?
All right, now I gotta pull up my handy dandy.
That's what it's made for.
My hand got to go to my phone. This is Uncharted right here.
All right, while you do that, then real quick, I'll get to this comment. D says the Bills have not been drafting well, but don't trade with the Chiefs. Bingo. He says you got to treat them like a divisional, like a division rival at this point. Y'all don't need Myles.
Wait, who are you? Why who is y'all? Who are you?
The Bills. The Bills don't need Myles.
Oh, I'm about to say. He said y'all don't need Myles. I'm like, wait, who are you? A Cleveland Browns fan?
No.
What are you trying to influence?
I mean, you got the Giants logo going on. Giants is my second favorite team.
Yeah,
so
no, I think let's see, names offhand. If you're talking about just edge rushers,
yes,
you could go Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College, led the nation in sacks. You could go
what school?
Boston College.
Okay,
and that would be second roundish.
Okay.
If you really wanted to go into the weeds, you could do Jordan Birch in the second round, Oregon. Baron Sorrell, but I can tell you right now what I'm really looking at, what I'm really interested in. I'm trying to get a disruptor in the middle. You're talking about Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech, Darius Alexander from Toledo.
What rounds for those guys?
These are thirds,
okay,
third and fourth.
Okay.
And lastly, I'll give you Jared Ivey from Ole Miss. That would be a second rounder. But I also, if you look at all my mock drafts, I have numerous defensive players. I fell in love with Savion Williams at the wide receiver spot in the second round. But after that, it's all defense first, and the rest of it is defense. So I think if you get that wide receiver somewhere in there, you can do everything you want on defense. Just find the defensive line draft is super deep. So even if it's not a name you remember or recognize, it's probably an impact player somewhere. the Bills just have to go out there and identify what suits what they're going to do, not what they've been doing, because I don't want to hear any more about their philosophy. They don't have one.
Well, let's get into that because forgot who commented on this earlier, but there are a contingent of fans that think that a philosophy change is coming, right? And this is because of the hirings of the ex-defensive coordinator from the Jaguars and who else?
I don't know who the other. I need to look that up because I don't remember who it was.
I wasn't sure about because I know the guy from Jacksonville is supposed to be the senior defensive assistant. And then there was another maybe defensive line coach or something like that.
I think that was him. Let's see.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I think it's the same guy. Well, Al Holcomb, the linebacker coach, that was what, last year.
Yeah.
Who's this? Okay, Ryan Nielsen is going to join. He was under Doug Peterson.
Yep.
He's going to join as
the senior defensive assistant. Yep.
Okay, so that's one.
But I thought he was also supposed to be
the defensive line coach or assistant.
Oh, is this
at
the top there? Bills to hire former Patriots defensive coach. Yeah.
Oh, this guy. Yeah, he's new. Ex-defensive backs coach Mike Pellegrino.
Oh, that's right. We got an assistant defensive backs coach.
Okay, so it doesn't matter.
Right, exactly.
The thing about that is, people, I get it. You try to read the tea leaves, but it's still McDermott's defense.
Yeah.
It's still, at the very least, Babbitt's defense, which is an offshoot of McDermott's defense. So I don't think, especially now, they're going to overhaul because Christian Benford is not a man corner. And that's the only corner you got that's going to return as a starter. You have Taylor Rapp, who's not, I'll just say it, he's not good in coverage. We've seen him try to cover. It's not pretty. Cole Bishop is going to be a do-it-again rookie. Mm-hmm. Could he be good? Maybe. But we haven't seen enough to say definitively, yeah, let's go with him.
Right.
And on top of that, where's your depth? You got to have people behind them. So, in 1 year, I don't think they're going to shift from a zone to a man. Now you might try to get guys that lead that slant heavily towards man, but can play zone as well, and run a hybrid of some sort. But you're not going to just switch over and go from the 20% they were doing to 50, 60, 70% man in a season. Right.
Let me see here. There was one. I was looking at this one earlier. So no. Kev says I'm taking highest rated between D-line or cornerback. I'm assuming that's in the first round.
Only reason I took cornerback first is because they're top heavy in that draft.
Okay.
And then the D line is mid round.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's deep.
Okay. I figured that. Hopefully the Bills think the same way too, because if we are going to go through the draft, the way that this defense operates, and for where our defensive line is. You need good cover guys.
Yeah.
you just do. You need, especially against teams that we're going to be going against, you need great cover guys to give that pass rush time to develop and get to where they need to get until they get to the point where they can carry the load. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Spin says, I think our formula on offense should be Allen, Cook, O-line, and decent wide receivers. Everything else goes to the defense. I honestly don't think there's going to be enough space to draft an offensive lineman this year. I could really see this being a situation where they might sign some backup dudes and just roll with everybody that we rolled with last year.
Yeah, I mean, I can see if they draft in the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah,
but that's it. I don't see when it's going to come off.
For all that, you got Tyler Grable still sitting there. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think you're going to do with anything other than David Edwards for now.
Right. Which I don't like it. I think McGovern and Edwards have whiffed on too many blocks, and they've taken they've chosen to cover the wrong guy on certain blitzes and rush packages. Hopefully that's something they can get better at with coaching and being able to identify who's really coming and who's not. Mm-hmm. Because that's not something that we have typically had an issue with, not when Mitch Morse was here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But especially in the AFC Championship game this season, we saw a few times on blitzes they couldn't identify the right guy.
Yeah.
And it just looked like the floodgates opened wide, especially on that last play. You know what I mean? That like even if Josh didn't see, the shift happen at the last minute, your center is still supposed to. You know what I mean? So
that's the mark, and I'm hoping that McGovern going to the second year center will actually learn that because he never played center long enough to actually get the chops in on him.
Right.
So hopefully this year, I mean, he was better than I thought he was going to be. A lot better than I thought he was going to be. Do I miss Mitch Morse? No, not at all. So yeah, I think our offensive line is set. I mean, they were ranked number 5 in the league last year, so that says a lot. That's good. And it's only upward from there because Torrance is another year strong. Spencer Brown another year. McGovern is the second year in the same position. Deion Dawkins hopefully can get into his stance a little better because last year he looked a little tight in the hips, but that comes with age. But I can tell you, I would be more akin to a blocking tight end of some sort than another offensive lineman, honestly. Just because I'm tired of having to report Alec Anderson eligible every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is Knox not enough?
Evidently not.
Right.
Evidently not. I thought he was, but so I guess that's something to explore. But if you look at what they can do in offense, you have to kind of integrate some of that loose play that Josh wasn't doing last year as well.
Yeah.
That's what gets you around a lot of the deficiencies that the offensive line creates.
I mean, it from the time that I've started watching the game to now, I would venture to say there's a lot more, blocking tight ends that are, sitting out there unsigned waiting to get on the team than there are great pass catching dudes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't even waste a draft pick on a guy like that. I'd just go find a big, huge free agent that's like a Patrick Ricard type and say, you're going to be a tight end. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be a fullback or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Just go fullback, but I didn't want to get the backlash.
No, I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. Roy says the Bills have professional scouts. Trust the process. Then he says that sounded better in my head than speaking it out loud. LOL. I'm glad you realized that, bro. I'm glad, especially after everything that we've said so far. I'm very glad you realized that.
I think that's the gotcha, man. The thing that I don't get mad about fans for wanting Garrett and talking about Max Crosby and all these other outlandish things is I get the angst, even if they don't understand why they don't trust it. I get it because there's no reason to trust what you've seen already.
Right. Okay, so I had one specific point, and I'm sure there's some other stuff that'll come up, but there was one specific thing that I heard the media talk about in regard to this game that I take offense to, and I'm very, very frustrated with this thought process, and that is people are saying that Mahomes didn't have enough help. Bro. Shut the up. Seriously. Because if you're going to tell me that Mahomes didn't have enough help and that's why he lost the game, but then you're going to look at the AFC Championship game and say Josh should have made those plays. What? What's the difference? What is the difference? The Chiefs got blown out in the Super Bowl. We lost by, 3 points? But Josh has got to make the play? He got the ball to Kincaid. What do you want him to do? Throw the ball, run and go catch it too? Yeah. You want him to snap the ball to himself?
Yeah, I think the disparity is the fact that they lost by 3. I think that's why they say it magnifies the one play or 2 plays that he missed. Because they lost by 3, And yesterday it seemed like the Chiefs had no business on the field. Travis Kelce had 1 catch? Did he have a catch yesterday? I think he did.
Who?
Travis Kelce, he did have it. He had the 1 flip.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had another one, but you had you had DeAndre Hopkins out there who, whatever. Xavier Worthy's the only one that showed up. Really, they don't have a run game. But they had it all year. They went 15-2 with that.
That's the part that was maddening to me, bro. Like I couldn't believe my ears that people are like nobody remembered at that point. like you said, that this team went 15-2, really 15-1 because they didn't start their starters in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been 16-1 if they really tried. So this team goes 16. Let's just say they go 16-1, right? We'll give them the dub. They go 16-1 with this lack of help that Mahomes has. You mean to tell me they go 16-1, beat what people widely thought was the better team in the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game, and then get to a Super Bowl and the bed, and now he needs more help? Oh, I'm sorry. Hollywood Brown wasn't enough. Xavier Worthy wasn't enough. Travis Kelce, quite possibly still top 3 tight end in the NFL, if not number 1 still in the NFL. That's not enough help. Oh, by the way, Pacheco and the guard center guard combination that they have, which all 3 of those dudes were Pro Bowlers, by the way. That's not enough help.
No, because what it is people's heads have exploded and the fluid is oozed out of it because they can't imagine that the 3-peat Chiefs lost like that. They can't imagine that Patrick Mahomes put up 16 yards in the first half. They can't imagine the offense was 34 yards total in the first half. How does this happen? That's what they're saying. How?
Right.
You know, people are paying $6,000 a seat for this game and they're watching this. It's like watching. It's like watching prime Mike Tyson playing box against Martin.
Right.
It's like, what am I looking at? This can't be right. So it's going to be all sorts of postulated answers to why that occurred. Yeah, he needed help. But we knew that already. We talked about how devoid of talent that offense was. We talked about how the defense had to carry him. You said that last year. They get to carry him.
Yep.
But we knew it. So
it
what
just
changes not? They go 15-1 and get their cheeks. Never mind.
Caught yourself. My hand was scraping towards the button, bro. Yep. Just so you know.
Never mind. he like, yeah, almost got you on that one. Almost got you there.
Almost caught you slipping. You know what? All of this is part of this weird perspective that everybody has of Josh Allen, where it just kind of seems like because he didn't start off being Mahomes, he's the anti-Mahomes. He's the guy that everybody loves that they're not supposed to love. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, people look at Josh Allen like, why does everybody think he's so great? He throws a bunch of interceptions. Well, what do you think Mahomes has done over the last 2 seasons? And they've won Super Bowls with it, right? But then they go into the MVP conversation. Well, Josh shouldn't have won MVP this season. Why? Because Jackson had better stats? Okay, then how do you explain him winning it last year? Oh, well, he had more wins. No, for real? For real? Yeah. So I guess that rule that gave Jackson the MVP the year before don't apply to Josh. Right? Like that's the kind of stuff that makes me think that this is more political than not, because when you start getting into the stats, Josh Allen's advanced stats are better than Jackson's advanced stats. Right? EPA is the biggest one. Expected points average. Like Josh was number 1 in the league this season. Nobody was better than Josh. Right? At doing what? At doing the thing that wins Super Bowls, which is put up points. You can't win a game without putting up points. Josh Allen was number 1 in that. And you want him to give up that MVP to Jackson. Why? Like, make all of this make sense. What do you think about this, bro? Because I like going down these kind of bunny trails and thinking about the what ifs. It's always fun, right? Other people like to call it "let's get stupid." I just like to entertain the idea, right? MB41, welcome. He says, or she. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. MB41 says trade at Oliver and Groot. Use those picks to overhaul the defense. You interested in something like that?
I did.
You smiling a little bit too hard, bro.
I commented, and I'll read what I said. I said, I'll be fine with that. I'm starting to wonder where it actually fits with us. We need Grant from Michigan, Alfred Combs from Texas, or Deion Walker from Kentucky. These guys are like 340 pounds. I mean, it's not even. It's just the fact that.
Give me all 3.
Well, right. The thing about it though is you think about what are we looking at? You're looking at your linebackers being free to roll.
Yes,
that's what they do.
Yep.
You know, so the fact that the offensive lineman can't get to the second level because there's a massive man in front of him he can't get around. There's no sun. It's all dark in front of him because this guy is just blocking out everything. Yep. You know, give me one of those. Give me two of those. Give me a disruptor.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I would be fine with getting rid of Groot because we just talked about the fact that the viability of keeping him is slim to nil. Ed Oliver is a 275, 280-pound defensive tackle who is cool, but in the grand scheme of things, we want our edge rushers to do all the work. We want these guys to clog the middle, stop the run, because we saw that last night. Carter and Davis, what they do? They stopped the run. They stopped Mahomes from doing what he wanted. We need that. We need to be able to enforce our will on defense. See, that's where my eyes peak when we're on defense. When they're on defense, offense, you can have whatever you want. I don't care. But defense is when I'm like, okay, this is the true side, the definition of domination. Can I dominate you?
Yep.
Can I do what I want to you? That's what our defense has not had. The philosophy's not there. That's not what they think on our defensive side.
Well, let me ask you this. So when we say philosophy, I think one of the things that doesn't get mentioned as part of the philosophy is the idea that technique beats everything else, right? And when you look at the way that they've drafted guys who are better at technique than they are, just full-on talent and dominating the opponent, right? Because sometimes that kind of stuff has nothing to do with technique. It has everything to do with I'm bigger, faster, stronger than you, and I'm going to get my way, right? What drew me to that thought was thinking about these 340-pound guys like Jordan Davis from the Eagles, these big, massive human beings that can take up space whether they try or not. And then it took me to, well, why wouldn't the Bills want these guys? And then I thought about it. Jordan Davis is not known as the most technically proficient dude.
Not at all.
Especially when it comes to pass rush, right? That sticks out as one of the things that I know I've heard Sean and Bean talk about, right? So if the idea or the philosophy is we want to focus on technique, we want technicians and not just big, massive people, how viable is that philosophy to you in terms of what we've seen so far?
It's not at all. It's not at all. You want to win the right way, but the right way is to win. There is no right way to win except don't cheat too much. That's the only caveat to it. Just don't cheat too much.
Yeah.
We were talking. Who was it? I forgot already. Was it? What was his name? Was it Thomas? What was it? Earlier on, we were talking about Rousseau and how he was being held, but the Flyers didn't come out.
Yeah.
They were cheating, just not too much.
Right.
They know how to get away with certain things. They know how to. Every sport, you're taught what you can and can't do.
Yep.
And it's your job to say, okay, I can't do it, but what do you mean I can't do it? What of that can I do that I can't do? And that's what, some of these guys do that.
Yeah.
Like I said, Kobe Bryant got a hold of a referee's manual, read it, remembered where they look, where they're standing. Just that, and I know what I'm going to do when they're in these positions. He's not only playing against these 5, he's playing against the 3 refs too.
Yep.
And that's the thing about football. It's controlled aggression.
Exactly.
You're angry. You're trying to, Ken's like, he told me, he said, yeah, Dad, after I watched that game, not last night, but whatever game it was, my best friend's not allowed to play football. I said, why? He said, because they can get hurt. I'm like, yes. They're trying to hurt people. That's the point of it. You don't want to kill somebody, but you're trying to take them out of the game for the most part. He's like, I don't like that. I said, well, that's the nature of the game.
Right.
But that's not the nature of the Bills game.
Right.
And so if you're looking at the shift of the paradigm to the defense even remotely matching the offense, who's our defensive Josh Allen? Who's our defensive James Cook? You got to have that.
Yep.
And people say we want blue chippers. That's what we mean.
You know what forces teams to have to cheat?
What's that?
Dominance.
Yep.
If I'm a more dominant player than you, if I'm a more dominant team than you, and this is this thought process, this point that I'm making now is solidified in history through what we saw in this Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. The Eagles were the more dominant team. Who got most of the calls going their way? The Eagles. Mm-hmm. Right? Why? Because they were so physically dominant. Not the technique, not the little small, all that stuff plays into it, yes, fine. But they were clearly more physically dominant than the Chiefs to the point where the Chiefs linemen had to start hugging dudes. The Chiefs lineman had to start holding dude's arm so he couldn't get over and reach and grab Mahomes before he got out of the pocket. That's what creates calls to go your way. That's one of the reasons why the Chiefs built their lines up the way that they did. They built their defensive line full of big, strong, physical dudes that can impose and force offensive linemen to have to cheat a little bit more. And then what happens? Holding, offense, number 78. Now all of a sudden you backed up into a corner. Well, here comes that defensive line again. Now you got to hold. You either hold again or your quarterback gets got. Which one you want to get?
It was the lesser of two evils.
Right. Yeah. That's how you do it, and that's the one philosophy, I guess, that the Bills have kind of looked at and said, "Nah, we don't want to be known for that kind of stuff."
Right. Yeah. No. I believe it was Spin said it wasn't Groot the opposite technique guy when we drafted him. He was full of physical traits and raw. This is why we drafted Groot. And this is why I had a problem with the Groot draft. They drafted Groot because they got enamored with his arm length. They got enamored with his height. They got enamored with the size of his hand. Remember, what did they say when he came to Buffalo? Wow, did you see how his hand just made Bean's face disappear? Whatever it was. And then they said, wow, he's versatile too, because we can put him inside, outside. But
they've never done it.
They don't do that. They didn't do it. Vanessa, the same thing. They drafted him at 280 pounds.
Yep.
To do inside, outside. I moved him inside on the first man he was on. He was a beast.
Yep.
They don't do that. Instead, they said, lose 30 pounds. Oh, he lost way too much. We can't play him. You told him to lose weight in the first place. He lost too much. How do you lose? I wish I had that problem.
Yo, for real, bro. For real.
I wish I had that problem. Woo. Wake up, you like 10 pounds. I want an 8. Oh, God.
I can't go to work today.
I can't let him see me like this. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. Spin. They did draft him based on things that weren't technicalities, but at the same time, okay. So let's expound upon it. It's got to be some kind of weird measurable or a technique. There's never some blue chip guy. We never draft a blue chip guy because, truth be told, Jalen Phillips was a better 15 at Miami when they played, University of Miami.
Yep,
he was better than Groot, but we got Groot and we're happy with it. I mean, he did his part. He did what he was supposed to do, but the thing was he got typecast.
Yep. And
I caution people, when you see this draft this year, we'll talk about it. Don't typecast people. I'm going to tell you what they are, what they did, because that's what they're going to do.
Right.
At the very most.
Yep. And that's really all you should expect. If they do more, let it be icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. But don't put them in a position where you have to get that out of them or they don't play. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or you put them in a position where the only way that they can stay on the field is if you get that extra stuff out of them. You know what I'm saying? That's how you end up with all the injuries that Matt Milano has had and Terrell Bernard has had in their careers and stuff like that. It was when you put them in that position to operate at this 110% level when them being at 100 would have been fine if they were safeties. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
This is their natural, and this is where you put them.
Right.
It breaks. It's like the RPM gauge on a car. I don't know much about cars. I know about that red line. Stay in that red line. Watch that MCO engine.
Yeah.
I actually laughed what Marino's legacy said when I saw it. I was like, is he a troll? No, maybe not. But no, I actually did like what he or she said in regards to. He said the Bills CBs and pass rushers look like JV players compared to Philly. See, that was where I was like, is this guy trolling? Marino? I don't know. But then he expounded upon and says defense doesn't even have a Nate Odoms or Cornelius Bennett. The talent has to be upgraded to a different level. We got to keep it up. That's where I'm like 100% on board with you. 100. I don't care if it's cornerback. I don't care if it's safety. It's got to be two. I need two players I can identify. Say that's our cornerstone.
Yep.
For the next 5 years, that's our cornerstone. It might just be 4 or 5 years, but I have to have that. I got to identify that.
Right. Lee says being out here drafting off of hopes and dreams. Yeah, you know what? And I think this is what bothers me so much about. We about to lose all 35 of our viewers. This is
me, baby.
This is what really bothers me about I'll say the philosophy of Bills Mafia, right? The idea is that I've heard and seen so far, and some of you, if you're part of that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems as though Bills Mafia is firmly planted in we love the Bills. And the Bills are great. The Bills are winners. The Bills win 10-plus games every season. The Bills make the playoffs every season. The Bills have Josh Allen. The Bills have Sean McDermott that broke the drought. We're in a great position, right? And it's almost like nothing else matters but all of that good stuff, right? And what gets slapped on top of that, like cream cheese on a bagel, is this thought process of just trust the process.
Yeah.
Right? Well, what does that actually mean? Trust the process means you're hoping and you're having faith that all of the work that you're doing now is going to equal the expected outcome, which is a Super Bowl.
Keep
right?
kicking that door.
Exactly.
Keep kicking at that door.
I've heard
It's
so
gonna
many
open.
people say keep kicking that door. Drives me
It's
nuts.
gonna open. No, it's not.
But that's the point. So here's what I want to say about the faith point, right? Because there's a good book that I read that says faith without works is dead. Okay, let's be clear about that. Faith without works is dead, which means blind faith is not a real thing. This idea of just trusting the process, but we're going to continue to do the same thing that we've done for 8 years and hope that it gets us a different result. That's blind faith. That's not real faith. That's not real trusting anything. That's choosing to ignore all of the data that has told you what you're doing is not working. Try something else, and you're saying, nah. Nah, I don't feel like it. I like where I'm at right now. This is fun.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I say that is the fundamental reason why I say just admit you like winning regular season games and you like tailgating and you like the feeling that you get from winning these regular season games and these wild card round games, and then leave it at that.
That's fine.
Don't tell me you won a Super Bowl,
Right.
because you really don't.
Right.
If you're happy with everything that's happened so far, then you have to be real with yourself about what your expectations for your team are. Period.
Mm-hmm.
There is no both. Right. One of the reasons that we do the show the way that we do and provide factual information and provide statistics and all that kind of stuff is to show that these opinions, that these mindsets are not just coming from some random cloud in the sky. And I've not heard one person come to me yet with this mindset of trust the process. We're kicking that door. We're going to get there. I've not heard one piece of factual information, one statistic that tells me that what we're doing is eventually going to work.
All you're doing is seeing other teams get better around you.
Right. If this stat doesn't say it, I don't know what does, which is no quarterback and no head coach combination. If they haven't won a Super Bowl by year 5, they've never done it in Super Bowl history. Never. Just like we saw yesterday, no team has ever what? Three-peated. Y'all saw history not get made yesterday, but y'all expect history to get made with this other stat. And again, I'm not trying to force people to agree with me. To be clear, this is me hoping that there's some bit of information out there that supports everybody that's on this trust the process kick, because I'm the type of person that likes to understand. To be clear, I like to understand people. I like to understand their perspective, and when I don't, it bothers me. Call it whatever you want. It bothers me that I cannot understand this thought process of I'm just going to blindly trust and not really worry about the outcome if it's negative, but if it's positive, then I'll stand on business. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Somebody give me something. Somebody explain it to me so that I can understand it, because to this point, we've been doing the show 2 years now. Nobody's been able to do that so far, and I listen to just about everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Spin said there's not many coaches make it past 5 years, so it's limited sample size. Why is that, though?
Because usually the owner is adept enough to know this dude don't know how to get it done.
Yeah, I gotta move on. I mean, look at the guy that won yesterday. That city was calling for his job last season.
Exactly, bro.
He just came off a Super Bowl loss. Didn't make the Super Bowl. They're like, nah, gotta move on. I mean, but McDermott and Bean have the gall to sit here and say, trust the process. Keep kicking at that door. I mean, what really pissed me off, yeah, this is not about being negative, but what pissed me off about the whole press conference being, I never mentioned it because I don't even know why. When he said, "Trust me," I want to get the quote. I want to get the quote because I know I have it here. He said, "I can promise you, we haven't slept a lot since that big game. I can promise you, I haven't slept a lot since 2000. Who the hell knows? I'm a professional dad with 2 jobs. Anybody feel bad for me?" No. It's funny how being, he volunteers stuff like that. Like, I want to be in touch with you guys. I'm like, I'm like you. I don't need you to be like me. I need you to be better. You're in charge of a team. You're doing a job that most of us wish we could do. But you're making a lot more money than most of us could even imagine having.
Exactly.
So I don't care how much sleep you get. I don't care you sleep in your office. I expect you to.
Yep.
I've done that, and I don't make even a fraction
Right.
of what you make.
Yep.
So, sir, show me the baby, please. And so it's like, stop. It's not even me anymore. It's like, stop insulting the Bills fan base intellect. Stop. You know they trust you. You know they want you to do the right thing. They trust in you to make this team great. Stop feeding them garbage.
I'm struggling here, bro. I'm sorry. Spin. You drawing it out of me, bro. You drawing it out. Look, I love you to death. You know I do. But, man, this man just said if you have a problem with McD game management, you would be flipping bricks if Sirianni was our coach. He also just said McD is a better coach than Sirianni. Should we just move on, or should I address this?
It's noted.
Noted? You gonna let that go? You are
know.
such a nice
I
guy.
don't even know where to go with that. I mean, it's like he just won a Super Bowl yesterday.
Right?
What can I say? It's noted. I mean,
The man just won a Super Bowl, something our coach hasn't done in 8 years, and this man has been to 2 in the last 3.
we already pissing on him.
I'm not trying to do this.
No, not you. I'm talking about, yeah. Oh, yeah. I do.
Like I'm not trying to bang on Spin, but this is what Bills Mafia brings out of me.
He said I have that effect.
Yeah.
Nah. You know what? Keep it coming, though. Honestly, because you
Yeah.
make a good point. So, McDermott is you know it. Everybody, you know what it does to this man to my left. The bare mention of the name, you know what it does. So, I mean, I get it. But no, it's just tough because on one hand, I see why you say that, because you see a man who built a team from the drought with culture, with love and all this stuff. But at the same time, I see a guy that went there, didn't go there, 30th in defense. Hell no, fix it. Fangio, Zach Bond, Cooper DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell. Let's go. Number 2. Just like that.
Yep.
I mean, that's what we're asking. Because we're at that. I mean, we're meandering in that realm when we got Stefon Gilmore and all those guys. We're not quite high enough in the draft to really be alarmed, but we're not low enough to draft to say we don't need any help.
Yeah.
We're like in that gray area, that twilight zone, and that's where our defense is right now, because they're not bad enough on paper to really need an overhaul, but we see with our eyes what a defense looks like and what a real defense looks like and what we want our defense to look like.
Yep.
You know, when people say to me, why you get so agitated about it? You can't do nothing. I know that. But guess what? You play Madden. What does Madden do? You get franchise mode. What do? You build a team. You play fantasy football, fantasy basketball. Guess what you do? You build a team. Guess what you do when you're doing a fantasy draft? You're building a team. It's innate.
Yep.
If your brain doesn't do that at this point in time, I don't know what to tell you. Because in the lowest realm of anything, you're building stuff. You're thinking about how can I make stuff better. My job, matter of fact, I thought about it. My job at my first job is process improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this trusted process that's not where it's not improving. So my brain says, what can we do better?
Right.
I'm not bagging on Bean. I'm not. Well, can they get the job done? Do I have faith in them? Not both of them.
You know what I think this is a representation of, and this is probably one of the best videos that I've seen in a very long time. And I'm hoping that I'm articulating all of what happened in the video correctly to make the point accurately. But this professor starts off the class, and he points to one young lady, and he says, "You, please leave." And she's like in shock, like, what did I do? and he goes, "I will not teach as long as you're in this room. I'm not going to ask you again. Please get up and leave." Mm-hmm. And she's still sitting there in shock, but after a couple of seconds, she gets up and leaves. And every other student in the class is just kind of like, okay, that happened. and so the teacher carries on, right? But he asks, he gets to the point of asking, I just sent that lady out of here, right? And everybody has this idea of justice in their minds when they think about rioting and protesting and stuff like that. Like that's everybody's idea of justice against a government, right? And I'm probably not doing this any justice. I'm gonna copy the link to our community section for you guys to take a look at it. But anyway, the bottom line of this video was he asked the students, why didn't they react? Why didn't they protest? Why didn't they do anything when he kicked the girl out? Did they think it was justified? They all said no. Did they, so it was clearly an injustice, but nobody stood up for this girl. Nobody said anything. Nobody tried to get in the way or get in the professor's face and stop it from happening, right? And what the professor said was, you didn't do any of that because as a bystander, you felt like it had nothing to do with you. And because it did not directly affect you, you didn't have a problem with it. Right. And that is the problem with America today, is that people are so willing to just stand by, and because something doesn't directly affect them, they don't bother with it, right? And I'm not even trying to get super political, from like a real politics standpoint, but in the grand scheme of what's going on with the Buffalo Bills right now, so many people feel that way of, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't draft the players. I can't, go and tell them who to pick, and I can't No, yes, you can. You are the taxpayer. You are the employer. That man, Terry Pegula, cannot run his business here without your money. If your fear is that they'll get up and leave, we have a stadium. We can find another team. The Browns did it. A historic franchise like the Buffalo Bills, you don't think the NFL would want to get back here so they can be close to Canada?
There's another team in New York.
Right. But people don't think about that. People think about, oh, well, we can't. It's an impoverished mindset. We're the third poorest city in the country. So we never think that we can affect the situation. We never think we have any power. We never think that we have an ability to make change. That's the problem. People don't even think this deep into the situation. They just think, well, that's the team. They're the professionals. They get paid to do it. Let them do it.
Must be right. Yeah.
That's not the way it goes. Do we think that way about our politicians? Most people don't. Most people are like, no, I don't want that guy in office. I'm voting for this guy. Why can't we do that with So to cap that point, because I want to move on to this next thing. We have to have a mindset to create the change we want to see, especially with our teams. It's part of the reason why Sirianni has made a Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years, because he's had such heat on his behind to get it done. Yeah. So I don't care if I'm arguing with my best wide receiver. I still need him to win games. You still on the team, bro. Yep. I don't care if you're reading books. You can still help us win games. We got to deal with that. We got to communicate. We got to find a way to work it out. Like Mike Tomlin said, you can't shy away from coaching players like that. That's more of an indictment on what you on the type of coach you are if you shying away from those kind of players, right? So take that for what y'all want. One of the other things I want to get to, did you hear what Bill Burr said on what's that guy's name? The guy that runs the 40, Rich Eisen, the Rich Eisen podcast. I didn't know this. But the NFL is categorized as entertainment and not sports. Technically, like from a business standpoint, they're categorized as entertainment and not a sports entity, which was extremely interesting when you hear what he said after that, which is, well, if you were a sports entity, you could be investigated for I forgot how you put it, but just basically if there was some suspicion that you were shaving points or something like that, you could be investigated, right? There could be legal action taken against your organization. But because we're labeled as entertainment, that doesn't apply to us. Right. It really started to make me think about where this league is in terms of their strategies on how they employ their product. Because if you're taking it upon yourself to I guess free yourself from the accountability of being investigated by a higher authority, and all of you have all of these instances within your game where people think something other than justified fairness is going on. Well, we don't have to answer it to anybody. It doesn't matter. You're going to talk about us anyway. We're going to make money off of all the news stations that talk about us because of it. We don't have to change anything. We just continue to make money, It starts to look, and this is not me trying to like single-handedly take down the NFL. I don't care to do that. I love football, to be clear. I love football. But I just thought it was really interesting. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it begs to wonder, what the differentiation is. It begs to differ because I don't know about the NBA, but I know wrestling is entertainment. And we know what we know about wrestling is they're athletes who are doing kayfabe fake stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the stuff that Mel talks about his conspiracy theories.
Oh man,
true?
Yeah.
Is there something to it? Is there an underbody? Is there what do you call it? A Illuminati of football pulling the strings and
right.
They
got Vince McMahon writing the script like they tried to play around with.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right.
Everybody's in the back, on the plane reading the script. Okay, I got to do this. Nah, it's
yeah.
It just sullies it, and the bad thing about it, and that's part of the reason why I hate that college is now getting money and getting bets and all this stuff. That sullies that too.
It introduces that concept. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I mean, it used to be amateur. NCAA used to be amateur sports. You can't call it that anymore because they're getting paid. So where are we now? It's just a big wash of, I'm watching all sports, even hockey. They don't fight anymore. You're not allowed to fight. It's watered down. Everything's watered down from what it was when we were kids. I'm sure somebody older than us will say it's watered down from when they were, younger. But
yeah,
I talked to Junior about basketball. And I'm like, I don't even know what we're doing here because this guy back in the day we watched wouldn't have been nothing, but now it's just ambiguous. In football, you got guys that are getting smaller but faster, getting bigger but faster, but then you want to shift the paradigm and go slower and stronger. I don't know. What is the flavor of the week? Because I wanted to bring up something in regards to Tez Johnson. Out of Oregon, he's, let's say, 5'10", 170 pounds, 160 pounds, whatever he is. And, in the old days, he's too small. But last night, we just watched two of the smallest wide receivers in the league have a good day.
Yep.
I'll take that chance.
Yep.
I'll take you. But see, I gotta have faith in Brady to scheme him so he doesn't get clobbered every time. Yeah. You're a speed guy. This guy said, I rival Xavier Worthy. He said, and when I run my 40, I'm going to rival him. I guarantee it.
Who said that?
Tez Johnson from
Wow.
So I mean, it's like if he runs that, we've seen it. And I ran a list. Think about who all the small, little wasp waist, flimsy, fragile guys were that we had. You're talking about Deshaun Jackson. You're talking about I had a list of guys here. Can I find it real quick or no? I don't even know. But it was here it is. That regulated. You had Deshaun Jackson. You have Xavier Worthy. You have Devontae Smith. You have Zay Flowers. You have Cole Beasley. Travis Benjamins. You have, Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Josh Downs. Are we not signing up to these guys? These are all. I ran a query for under 175 pounds. So everybody here is 174 or lower. They don't have to. See, the thing about our offense is they don't have to be the focal point. They should be on the field most of the time, but they don't have to be the number one guy.
Right.
But that frees up Keon Coleman. That frees up Curtis Hill. That frees up whoever you want out there.
Yep.
To do what they do. Stefon Diggs he would have feasted with a fast guy because guess what? This is him mano a mano with a cornerback.
Yep.
Or even a linebacker praise guy. So it's just different ways of thinking that go outside the norm. Our defense doesn't blitz. Our defense does front four has do something different.
Right.
Like I always say all the time, we're young. We want to move. We want to do fun stuff. We don't want to do the repetitive things over and over and over again.
Yep.
And I don't want to watch it.
Spin says, I think he's talking about my point about Sirianni. He says, how is it idiotic with your logic? You are saying Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco is better than Josh Allen because they won a Super Bowl and Allen didn't. Well, first and foremost, coaches are different from players, right? But what flies in the face of your point right now is, does anybody think that Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen right now? Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs. Josh Allen has 1. Josh Allen has been further in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson, right? But when it comes to coaches, here's why I'm saying that. When you look at how Sean has chosen to build his locker room, he's made his locker room easy for him to coach. Mm-hmm. When you look at teams like what Mike Tomlin has, when you look at teams like what Nick Sirianni has, got a lot of personalities in that room. It's not easy to coach those kind of guys. It's not easy to keep a team like that together and playing for each other.
Case in point, Bill Belichick.
There you go.
You know, and to piggyback on that, I saw a snippet of Vince Young on a podcast. He said the change from college to pros isn't even about, it's not uptaking the caliber of player. He said what it is you're playing against an opposing offensive or defensive coordinator. He said, I forget how he worded it, but exactly. But he said, you know, to the point where the defense after a game told him they knew what he was going to do. He said, "What do you mean?" You know, he's like, "Well, if you do this motion," they said, "you sway back and forth behind your center when you're going to do whatever." And we read that. That's our cue. We know what you're going to do every time. Mm-hmm. You know, but in college they don't do that, because even if they do have the wherewithal to do it, you know how good your players have to be able to pick up on it and act on it that fast. And in the pros, they're all that good. So, like you said, it's not player versus player. It's not player versus. It's a whole different realm of cerebral nature in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to get to this, and we got about 15 minutes left. Nico asked a question earlier, and I realized we're kind of coming back to a topic we pretty much covered, but
we do that.
I don't think we covered it this way.
That's fine. We do that.
So he asked, how, in our opinion,
mm-hmm.
and I'll pose the question to you first. How many players away are we defensively from being where we want to be and being at a level that can compete with, you know, teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs and beat those teams?
I would say 3 for sure.
Really? 3?
For sure.
Okay.
And that's cornerstone players. You know, I'm talking about a defensive end or defensive tackle. You don't need both, one or the other. But you have to have a stud safety or
mm-hmm.
a stud cornerback and a linebacker. You know, that I think that's bare minimum. You know, everything else has to feed off of those guys. I was thinking about when I was watching the game yesterday, there was one player on the Chiefs defense that you couldn't take your eyes off of, and it wasn't 95. It was 32. Nick Bolton. He was all over everything Saquon
That's
did.
true. Yeah.
And I said to myself, why can't
he's
we
a free
have
agent
that?
this year?
But this is even better. You know who's graded out better than him?
Who?
You know who's faster than him? You know who's younger than him?
Dorian Williams?
Dorian Williams.
Wow. Wow. You got to let the man play now.
When are we going to put him on the field?
Yeah.
You know, I know you saw me like toggling back and forth just to make sure I got my facts checked. But no, I mean,
I didn't know what that was for, but it makes perfect sense now. Yeah.
I mean, Nick Bolton is slower. He's smaller, and he doesn't grade out as well as Dorian Williams. He doesn't have as many tackles as Dorian Williams. He wasn't on pace to have the season that he was on pace before they snatched him off the field. So you have to come up with it, like you said earlier, with the 4-2-5. It's not sustainable.
No, it's not.
We have a third linebacker. Could he be that pseudo cornerstone? If you get past him not being able to cover, guess what? He can do everything else.
Yeah.
He can blitz. He can run stop. He can create havoc.
Think about Zach Bond, though. Like, Zach Bond got an interception because the pass rush was so great. Zach Bond is not a great cover linebacker.
Because it was one of those Deion Dawkins, the Chris Jones Deion Dawkins got pushed right into his face.
Yeah.
And hit him, and the ball went to Zach Bond.
Yep.
No, he's not a great linebacker. I mean, he fits there, but the thing is, like you said, that pass rush, and that's what I say. You got to have a stud defensive line. I don't want any more of this, you know, sometimey situation. Yep. But you also have to get away from this rotation crap. That you got to do away from that.
Exactly.
You got to get your front 4, 5, 6 if you have your 2 backup, 1 backup D tackle, 1 backup end.
How did we not point that out before? When you think about it, his defensive line approach has been everybody eats.
Mm-hmm.
How's that worked out? I mean, offensively, like let's think about this for a second. Offensively, has it really been everybody eats, or has it been James Cook, Khalil Shakir, and
The rest of the fellas.
the rest of the fellas?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it really hasn't been everybody eats. If it wasn't a tush push into the end zone with Josh running it, or Josh running it for himself, it was Khalil Shakir, Mac Hollins, and James Cook. That was it.
That's it.
There was nobody else. You got an occasional pop from Coleman, or a pop from Johnson, or a pop from, I don't know, whoever else.
Ray Davis.
Right, Ray Davis. You know what I mean? But every team has that. Every team has those 2 or 3 main dudes that they go to, and then everybody else just kind of plays a backup role.
Even bad teams have that.
Right?
Yep.
So yet again, here we are poking a hole in another Bills philosophy of everybody eats. No, it really wasn't that. It really wasn't. The numbers would bear it out if that was the case.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
No.
So maybe, and the reason I'm bringing this point out now is maybe we should have seen that this was Sean McDermott's mindset when we looked at how he approached the defensive line. How can you have, and this fits perfectly with your point. I'm so glad you brought it up when you did. Myles Garrett stepping into a rotation, or is he going to be on the field? I like the numbers and the data tells us he's going to be in a rotation.
Yes.
Because they've done that with everybody, including Von Miller.
Von Miller.
So you can't tell me that they're not going to expect this guy to just be on the field 66%.
Right. For $30 million.
But they want him to still get 18 sacks playing 66%.
Right. We've seen this movie before. It's impossible. It's impossible. He had 14 in a full role, and you want to get like 4 and 5 more than he has in his whole career. Yeah, no.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
Yeah. So that in itself would explain why our numbers on our sack numbers are high, but nobody has 10, because they can't. They don't have the skill set. 1, they don't have the physical nature. 2, and 3, they don't have the time on task.
Right.
As soon as you do something good, you get put out because it wasn't his turn. We got an expose going on here.
Right.
Done. Watch out. Hold your hat.
MB41 says, "Whoa there, Zach Bond is excellent in coverage. Did y'all not know that he was the best coverage linebacker in the league this year by far? He also led the league in forced fumbles."
Yeah, but that holds true. You heard what they said on the.
So glad you taking this one. Go ahead, bro.
It holds true because they addressed that on the broadcast. What they say? They said when he was in New Orleans, he was on the line.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the Eagles. They moved him off the line. Look what you got.
Right.
But the Bills don't do that. All they do is say gain some weight, lose some weight, and we'll put you inside or outside. There's no creativity on the linebackers. There's no creativity in safety. Why didn't Kyrie try to safety? You knew he sucked at cornerback. Evidently. Yeah. Why didn't you try him somewhere else? But no, let's just sit on him for 4 years.
Of course. Hey, Scout, what are Elam's weaknesses? Okay, we need to put him at that position to play those weaknesses. He's got to get better at that one way or another.
We do all of the things he's weak at. Draft him anyway. He has a notebook.
Exactly.
So, yeah, to your point about Zach Bond, Zach Bond is a beast when you put him where he's supposed to be.
There you go.
And that's what I said a while ago. I don't know if you heard, but I'll say it again. I don't trust the team to put players where they're supposed to be, in a position they're supposed to be in. When I talked about Rousseau, when I talked about Epinesa, when I talked about Ed Oliver, it just keeps going on and on. It's a perpetual cycle.
Yeah. Marino's Legacy said they literally destroyed Elam's confidence. You can tell, bro.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel so bad for that man. My hope is that he goes to a team like the Giants and just flourishes. There have been a few players like that on under Sean McDermott that I have really hoped would go somewhere and have a lot of success. And Elam is by far the at the top of that list for me. I hope he becomes Stefon Gilmore somewhere else. It sucks saying that, but they don't. And the crazy part is Stefon Diggs was drafted higher, right? And he was given much more responsibility. And the way they used him, though, was the wrong way. He goes to New England. He becomes the best corner in the league. I can honestly, I would not be surprised if Elam went to New England next year and was a household name.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the teams, like Mike Vrabel, he's known for having a great defense. And he likes good corners. He likes his pass rush and linebackers, and he likes his corners. So watch out. Watch out.
Yeah, it sucks. It really does suck because, I mean, it didn't work out. And the thing is, you have to be able to rely on your front office to identify when you need to cut the cord. You
Right.
know, I'm looking at the map because I'm like, Rivera Beach, where he's from, is close to Miami.
Yep.
Go home. They need players. Go home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're probably getting to the spot now where – so Javon Holland is a free agent there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a lot of people. Well, I don't want to say a lot of people, but there's some chatter suggesting that Jalen Ramsey gets moved to safety,
Yep.
which he would absolutely be able to do. You know what I'm saying? So you move Jalen Ramsey to safety, you bring Elam in to play corner. I mean,
because now they're moving a one-time lockdown cornerback to safety, and we're still sitting here talking about Christian Benford, Damar Hamlin, Taylor Rapp.
We don't even want to try Benford at safety. That's the part I don't understand. The man was a safety in college. You don't even want to try him at safety. No, he's got to be a corner.
Yeah, nothing knows. That hurts my heart. That really, like the creativity, the limitations of. See, you could tell this team is limited creatively on offense and defense, because the offense, it was better than Dorsey, but it wasn't a great scheme. It wasn't like exciting. It wasn't innovative. Defense was just mano a mano, head up. There was nothing to it.
Right.
And you're watching these other teams do these little hitch ups, these little Fangio and Spagnuolo and all these guys they're doing creative things with the defense. And do they have the same amount of talents we have? It looks like it, and more.
Right.
But it's also the scheme that they have that we don't have, that we don't know, because our guys are out there playing out of position. They really are.
I'll say this, because I think this kind of also brings a different dimension to, well, I'll just say it because we've kind of mentioned this stuff before, and I mean, there's only so many ways you can say it, but ideally, I heard about Dick Duran, right? Yeah. Rest in peace, Dick Duran. He passed. Is it okay to say Dick Duran? Can I? No, it's not. It's not okay. So how are we?
Duran, I guess. Whatever. Huh?
Duran. Just say Duran.
Just say. Man, watch out.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a coach.
So Penis Duran was a very good athlete, and when people talk about Penis Duran, they mention that I'll give you a half a button. I hit it for 2 seconds.
There you go.
So Dick Duran was a very good athlete, right? And he was one of the best athletes of his time. And they talked about how great he was, and it got me thinking, man, if he was that good, how did he become so rigid and so, one-dimensional in his focus as a coach? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You played all these different sports, you had all these different perspectives. How did you just lock into one specific thing and say this is the only way that we can win, or we just don't even try? Right. You know what I'm saying? And then I kind of carry that thought over into looking at Sean McDermott, and he's a world champion wrestler and all that kind of stuff. Okay, you won, good. You're a world champion. Okay, cool. But why do you only think we can win one way? Why are you so rigid in your stance? When you think about an offensive-minded head coach or just an offensive coordinator versus a defensive coordinator. Usually, for your offensive-minded head coach, they're not known as rigid dudes. I can't think of one dude that was known as an extremely rigid dude, and for sure not even Doug Peterson. Mm-hmm. The knock on Doug Peterson has always been, his for lack of a better way to put it, he talked about religion a little bit too much. For people's comfort, right? That was one of the knocks on him. But when you think about the problems or the reoccurring issues that a defensive minded head coach usually runs into. It's the rigidity of, we're going to win with defense. We're going to punch him in the mouth. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play traditional football. We're going to play old school football. Like, all these different things that point to stuff that the NFL itself as an entity has worked to move away from. Mm-hmm. But you standing on business over here thinking you about to take us back 40 years and destroy the league with the 2000 Ravens defense. That don't come along that often. No. There's a reason.
That's why it worked.
Huh?
That's why it worked.
Right. So again, all of this is to say, I don't mind keeping Dermott. But if we're going to keep Dermott, I think he needs to just change his ways. If he can do right, if he can do that, cool. What sucks though is we don't have any evidence that would suggest that he's getting into something like that. Right. Even the coaching hires don't suggest that to me. No. Like the fact that he fired Matt Smiley.
That was the last scapegoat for a while.
Bro, who else is there at this point?
He was holding out one for as long as he could.
Like, Bobby Babbage Sr. would put his foot in Dermott's behind if he fired Bobby Babbage. Like, let's be real about that. You ain't gonna fire my son.
Not my boy.
Right.
Not my boy.
So, I don't know, man. It's just look, at the end of the day, we're in a very interesting situation because and to answer Nico's question from my perspective, I agree. I think you need pass rusher, defensive tackle, corner. Safety, I would see if I can get Javon Holland in the free agency and let Bishop play. Just let him develop. You know what I'm saying? And roll with that. And I think that would give me everything that I need and everything that I would want in terms of the development of my defense. Mm-hmm. Getting those blue chip guys young and just letting them develop. Play them. I don't care if they get 15 pass interferences a game. Let them develop. Yep. Right?
Yep. Just see growth. Just want to see growth.
Right. That's the point. That is the point.
I think that's the one thing that McDermott hasn't shown us, the ability to allow somebody to learn on the fly. And that's what a lot of us have been waiting on. I mean, there's going to be that faction of fans that say, what the hell is this about? Why are we doing this? Why are we so sloppy? Because we're letting the young guys develop from boys to men. By week 14, 15, if you stay the course, trust the process, says you do, you'll see a payout at the end. Or, you got nothing in this guy, you move on. Try to get another one. There's a draft every year for a reason.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, Elam didn't work in year one, let's do it again. Nothing wrong with it. But when you sit on somebody for 3 years and say, just not good enough, then why are we still holding them?
No trade value, no nothing.
None. I mean, he had after the first year. Why? Not surprised.
So tired of shrugging my shoulders at this team, right?
I had these things here. Them Lesners. I had those things.
Right, the Lesners. Spin is just trying to start a fight right now. He said McD said that they need to focus in on taking away the quick game that exposed the defense all season. That leans to a more man coverage defense. It does not, sir. I greatly appreciate your perspective, and I understand how what they said and the moves they've made would make you think that. But if you direct your attention to our strategy against the Miami Dolphins year in and year out, we play zone coverage against them. We just press their receivers. Right. We play in tight coverage. Yep. Right.
Hybrid zones.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next point I was getting to, is the hybrid zones where they pass off a man to another guy in zone coverage still, but it looks like man coverage in that split second. So, that's why I'm not convinced. Now, do I want the Bills to play more man coverage? Yeah, if we've got the personnel to do it, yeah, sure. But I want us to be able to do both successfully. If you look at the Eagles, man, like what defense can't they play with that pass rush and those corners?
Do whatever you want.
Like, their safeties aren't even talked about, but they're pretty good.
They are pretty good.
Right? And so what defense can't they play? They can play a Tampa 2. They played cover 4 most of the time yesterday. Mm-hmm. Right? They can play man. They didn't get destroyed by teams that ran a lot of man beaters and stuff like that. What it really came down to for that defense is our boys are better, bigger, and stronger than your boys. We gonna rush, see if you can handle it. Yep. Both ways, offensively and defensively, we gonna rush, see if you can handle it. Yep, and they couldn't.
Yeah, they challenged them. I mean, every team knows how they can be beaten. The job of that team's offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator is to say, okay, I know I can be beat here, but we got to mask it. We got to hide that. How do we accentuate that? If we know our cornerbacks aren't good, we got to get a better pass rush to limit the time the quarterback has the time to survey the field. If you have a poor defensive line, you got to get that dominant back 5, back 6, whatever you want to run to make sure that the quarterback can't find a man, in time for Greg Rousseau and the rest of the boys to get to the quarterback. But the thing is, we didn't have either. Right. We had good enoughs everywhere. Good enoughs. Everybody on that team everybody that played this year for the Bills is NFL players. They are. But are they starters? Not all of them.
Right.
Some of them are spot starters. Some of them are average starters. Some of them are backups. But the thing is, we're thrusting guys and we're trusting guys to do things they shouldn't. Cam Lewis, love him to death. UB boy, horns up. We know it. But are you really supposed to be a cornerback at all, for a big period of time?
Exactly.
Jamarcus Ingram, you're usurping Kyer Elam for what? I mean, where are we when that's happening?
Because he can do more than one thing.
He can do more than one thing. And he can play teams too.
Right, he can play special teams.
Oh,
that was the other part that frustrated me about the Matthew Smiley firing. Like, you give this guy a bunch of guys that aren't like the best special teamers, but they're on special teams because they can do more than one thing.
Right.
And then you fire the guy when your special teams is 26th in the league. What do you want this dude to do? It's the same thought process of everybody saying Josh needs to make a play in the AFC Championship game. What
else could I do?
You want him to kick the field goals? you want him to take Tyler Bass's jersey off his back, wrap it around his kneecaps, and go kick a 70-yard field goal. That's what you want him to do.
Single bar. Single bar.
Yo, for real.
You gonna tug on it?
Right. And just run friggin' trick plays on special teams every single
All
down.
the time. I mean, I don't understand how you fire the guy when everything he does is beatable. Like, literally, you tell him when you want to go for 1. You tell him when you're going for 2. You tell him when we're kicking a field goal. You tell him when we're onside. You tell him.
That's right.
All he got to do is make sure it's 11 dudes on the field. So that's why when you said, I'm struggling with this, I said, man, that's a long paragraph. You type, I'm like, I can say right now, he don't do nothing. Why are we talking about him getting fired? He does nothing. He's out there with a pencil in his ear and a clipboard. Okay, I got 1 out there, 2 out there. Punter. Okay, 3. Nothing else.
Wait, who's holding the ball? Who is holding the ball?
It's nothing else. Did he get fired because Reed Ferguson didn't make Pro Bowl this year? Is that why he got fired?
Reed was like, Coach, I didn't get my bonus this season, man. What's going on? You know what? That damn Smiley, he's going to pay for this. That's right. You stay right there. I'm going to make a phone call. Smiley, get up in my office now.
That's Matthew Smiley. You know where he's going? Away from here. He's never coming back.
Oh, my gosh.
Reed, so same place you cut me next year? Yeah, we're getting cut next year. You'll be back, though. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I'm tired. I'm so tired. It's like, it's just, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then folks on the radio make sense of it and try to make sense of it, and they say, well, if they got rid of Matt Smiley, that means there must be somebody else they want in that place. It don't matter. They fired the last 2 guys that were in that position. They okay, that's like us saying they fired the last guy after 13 seconds because they wanted Matt Smiley so bad. Who cares? Unless he's gonna freaking find some kicker that can kick 100-yard field goals and's got a cannon arm just like Josh Allen so they can run fakes on every 4th and 5. Like, what are we talking about?
I don't think he's anybody to the draft room. He can't. Is he even there? I don't think he's at the draft.
What
else does he do?
There's no scouting department for his team for his part. There's no
2 legs he can kick. Get him. Okay,
right. That's right. And meanwhile, we got to watch Matt Araiza punt in the freaking Super Bowl. Like, this is where we're at as a franchise. Oh, all right. Look, my throat is a little scratchy right now, bro.
Oh, your throat is scratchy. You know what? There's only one thing about this. If you have a scratchy throat,
what's the solution?
You don't drink beer. You don't drink.
I really don't drink beer.
You know what? The only thing I can think of.
What's that?
You like a Reese's Tea man.
I am a Reese's man. You know what? That sounds pretty dang good right now.
If you guys don't know, Reed's tea is 1 part refreshing, 1 part delicious, 2 parts healthy. That's what you can expect when there's only 4 ingredients. I don't need drink tea, but let me tell you, that's a good drink there. What you doing? Head over to Reed's. Get yourself a supply of the case or individual. Don't get the case, get the individual. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Don't get the individual, get the case. You won't be disappointed. But what do I know? See for yourself. Reed's tea. Click on the link in the description below and let them know who sent you. Post Podium Podcast style.
Post Podium Podcast style. Listen. Here's what I need to happen. I'm gonna just start the music now. Spin. I need to argue with you live, bruh, which means you need to become part of the immediate family. You need to hop in the membership program so I can invite you on the show for a segment and we can just go at it, bruh. Because you, like, it sounds like, I feel like it would be fun. I feel like it would bring out the worst in me, but I feel like it'd be funny all at the same time. So, look, anybody else that's interested in getting a spot on the show just for a segment, we give that opportunity to our immediate family. If you're in the membership program, all you got to do is contact us. We can set up a time and date for you so that you can get in here and rap with us, okay? That's where we at. We all about connection. You see how many comments we read today? This is what we about, connecting with the people, okay? So, with that being said, if you have not done so already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that bell, make that thing
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
so that you can get notifications when we send notifications like I said earlier in the show, Melly Mack is on his hiatus doing the bowling deal. You know what I'm saying? So once the season is done for that, though, I think he said he'd be back for the draft, right? So we can definitely expect him back. He's another one of those draft gurus. He does a lot of film study. He knows his football players. So I can't wait to see what he's got in store for that coming. We got a lot of stuff developing outside the channel with other networks and stuff like that, with new content coming out. So please be on the lookout. Merch link is in the description of this video. Okay. We got hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got mugs. If there's anything else that you want to start putting on the page that you like, it could be, notepads, it could be whatever. Let us know. We'll make that available for you guys. Ideas for custom shirts. If you wanted like a custom shirt with your name on it or something like that, let us know. We can put that on the page for you too. All right. It's all about making that connection. It's all about sharing in the fun of being a Buffalo Bills fan. All right. With that being said, it's been the Post Podium Podcast. As always, home to the all truth, no sodium takes. I have been your co-host, Aramis. Y'all have a great night.
Peace.